Today, we are cracking open the survival guide to your birth order, and we're not just talking about the usual stereotypes. We're going way deeper to uncover the hidden, ancient advantages that have literally shaped who you are today.
I mean, it's the ultimate family mystery, right? It's a question that every parent has asked and every sibling has definitely wondered. You share the same parents, the same house, you ate the same food, so why is one of you a risk-taking entrepreneur and the other a meticulous planner?
Well, here's a radical idea. Maybe the answer isn't really about your childhood. Maybe it's not about parenting at all. What if this story is much, much older? We're going to explore how our differences are actually rooted in these ancient survival roles, jobs our ancestors had to fill to just keep the human species going.
So let's just reframe this whole conversation. For today, forget about labels like the smart one or the funny one. We're not talking about labels. We're talking about deep, evolutionary job descriptions that were basically handed to us the moment we were born into a specific spot in our family.
And to prove that there's something much deeper than just our environment at play here, we've got to look at the ultimate control group: twins. And not just any twins, we're talking about identical twins who were separated at birth and raised in totally different homes. So scientists who studied these twins found something, honestly, kind of spooky. Even when they were raised in different countries, by totally different families with different values, they would often have the same sense of humor, the same fears, and sometimes even the exact same jobs. I mean, one pair both became firefighters. Another, without ever meeting, gave their dogs the very same name. It just goes to show our biology runs a lot deeper than we think.
And that brings us to the big idea for today, the survival role. Just think of it like this. It's an ancient job description assigned to you by your birth order that has been fine-tuning your natural skills and your hidden challenges for thousands and thousands of years. It's your default setting.
So, let's start with the trailblazers. If you're a firstborn, you were the family's test run, right? The prototype. And that position, being first, came with this huge, unspoken responsibility. Don't believe me? Get this. Of the first 29 astronauts that NASA sent into space, an absolutely staggering 23 of them were either firstborns or only children. Why? Well, for thousands of years, when the parents were away from the camp, who was left in charge? The oldest kid. For them, leadership wasn't some personality trait, it was a basic necessity for survival.
So here's the firstborn blueprint. The advantage is pretty clear. Research shows firstborns have about a 3-point IQ head start. But not from genetics, it's from getting all that undivided parent attention early on. But, and this is a big but, the cost is very real. You probably learned how to perform before you learned how to rest, and even now just asking for help can feel like you're admitting defeat.
Okay, now for the middle child, often called the forgotten one, right? Well, let's completely flip that script. The middle child wasn't overlooked, they were in training to become the essential social glue of the whole group. The coalition keeper.
You see, that feeling of not always being the center of attention, that wasn't a bad thing. It was actually the perfect training ground for developing these incredibly powerful social skills that leaders and followers often just completely miss. Middle children are what you might call stealth leaders. Yeah, they don't command a room by being the loudest, they shape it from the inside out. They have the superpower of seeing every single angle of an argument, which makes them crazy adaptable and fiercely loyal. The challenge, though, when you're an expert at seeing every side of the fence, picking just one side for yourself can feel, well, impossible.
All right, next we're looking at two roles that seem totally different on the surface, but they actually share this common thread of focused family energy. You've got the youngest child, who becomes the innovator, and the only child, who becomes the specialist.
Okay, think about it. By the time the youngest showed up, the parents were calmer, the family rules were, let's say, more flexible. This created the perfect space for the risk taker, the one who's willing to try the new, crazy thing when the old way isn't working. You couldn't win fights with size or experience, so you had to master charm and influence. The flip side? You often have to work way harder to be taken seriously and build that internal discipline yourself.
Now for the only child. First things first, let's just bust that spoiled myth wide open. The research actually shows they have incredibly high ambition and they really thrive in solitude, which is perfect for deep, focused work. But here's the thing. When you or your parents one shot at this, you don't just get all their resources, you get all their fears too. And that creates this powerful drive, but it also creates a really loud, relentless inner critic.
Of course, not every family fits neatly into these little boxes. So let's look at two special cases that tell us even more about how our family structure shapes us: twins and what we call the bonus baby.
Twins have an advantage that literally no one else gets. They are born with a guaranteed partner from day one. They often score way higher on empathy tests because they've spent their entire lives learning to read one person at extremely close range. All that emotional practice means they often walk into any room with this unique kind of social confidence. And then you have the bonus baby, who's born 6 or more years after their siblings. They don't just land in a family, they land in a village. They have multiple caregivers, not just parents, but older siblings too. They get the benefit of calmer, more experienced parents, and they learn to navigate social stuff much faster because they've been watching older, more experienced people their whole lives.
Okay, so we've explored all these ancient patterns that are running in the background of our lives. But, knowledge is pretty useless without application. So the big question is, how do we take this blueprint and move from just being run by an unconscious pattern to making a conscious choice?
So here's a quick cheat sheet of everything we've covered. You've got the firstborn watcher, whose strength is leadership, but whose challenge is perfectionism. The middle peacemaker, great at adapting, but can struggle with decisions. You see the pattern here? Each ancient role gives you a modern strength to lean into and a modern challenge to navigate.
Here is a super simple 3-step guide. It's so easy. First, just name your pattern. Seriously, just acknowledging the default setting that's been running your life is the biggest step. Second, leverage your strength. Double down on what your survival role already made you naturally good at. And third, navigate your challenge. Look at the cost side of your role and consciously decide how you want to manage it, instead of letting it manage you.
And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. Understanding these ancient patterns isn't about having an excuse for your behavior. It's about freedom. Your birth order shaped you, for sure, but it does not own you. It gave you your starting point, but it absolutely does not decide your destination. So as we close out, I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. You've basically just been handed a map to your own psychological wiring. You can see the mountains, you can see the valleys. The only question left is, now that you can see the terrain, where are you going to choose to go?